Welcome to the Tour Operator Growth Podcast, where we share the strategies, systems, and real-world lessons helping tour operators grow more direct bookings, spend less time buried in admin, and build stronger businesses. Brought to you by Resmark, the leading team behind booking software, websites, marketing services, and digital waivers built for tour operators by people who still actually run tours. Now, let's get into today's episode. Your booking software is one of the most important technology decisions that you're going to make. It shapes how your guests book, how your team works, how you get paid, how your data moves between systems, and how well your business can actually scale. If you're running an established tour operation, you probably already know what you need because you live with your software's strengths and weaknesses every single day. The confusing part is that every platform that you might be considering switching to, they'll demo well, but the differences that matter only surface once you're live at a real volume. Today, we are joined with Devin Spann. Before moving into sales at Resmark, Devin spent years on the product side, turning operator feedback into features used by tour businesses around the world. This is not going to be a product demo today. It isn't about convincing you to use Resmark. It's a framework really for pressure testing any booking platform against what your operation actually requires. Devin, welcome to the podcast.
All right, thanks for having me. Hello.
Hey, Devin, we're super glad to have you join us today and excited to see where this podcast today goes. Recently, you moved onto our sales team, but before that, you were one of our product managers, which means you've been a pivotal in creating numerous features in our application. So what did that role involve, and what did it teach you about how successful tour businesses actually operate?
Well, it's a great question. It's kind of a big question, but first of all, what the role involves is product management is really fun because you get to be involved with so many different people, groups of people. There's so many aspects to it. You get to work with clients and tour operators and developers and stakeholders. You're constantly learning. You're constantly looking what else is out there. How can we make this better? And once you take some feedback from those areas, it comes down to prioritizing, which is kind of like the hardest part of product management is I have 100 great ideas. What do we do first? What do we do next? What helps people the most? What's the quickest win? What's the big overall win? So this prioritization is pretty tricky. But the thing that's been great here at Resmark, but in product management in general, is that you get to see the wins. You get to see the success when you launch an improvement or an enhancement, and that is just really fulfilling. Also, a thing that's been great to learn is asking why. So when a client comes to support or their sales rep or the product team, they reach out to me. They will ask for something very specific, and so I have to really get into the why. Like, why are you asking for this? What are you trying to actually accomplish? It's like if someone says, "Hey, I need a drink," okay, well, why? Because I'm thirsty. But it's way deeper than that with a product. You're talking about a process, and you're only getting like one little, "Hey, I would like it if the screen did this." Once we really establish why they want something, talking to them, looking at their business need, then we can take it inside and say, okay, now how are we going to do this? Maybe it's something that's never even been done before. Maybe it's something that's really easy and a quick win. But really, product management has taught me to really ask why. Why do I need this? What process could we change to not even have to ask for this enhancement? And how are we going to do it? And that's really fun about product management is it's this nonstop escape room of what is next and how do we help move on to the next one.
Awesome. Devin, you worked with operators of all sizes. When you look at the software an operator chooses, what separates a system that they're going to outgrow in just a few years versus a software that they're going to be able to scale with?
It's pretty understandable that a tour operator is going to do some serious homework when thinking, well, what's next? Is the system right for me? One thing to make sure all your bases are covered is to look at your basic needs. Okay, I am taking a booking. I am having a waiver signed. I'm getting a confirmation. I'm taking payment. Those things are going to be pretty smooth with whoever you choose. But then comes the ease of running your business with that. You're going to want to look at the pros and cons of each system and look for the one that kind of gets you and your industry or your operation, maybe more than some, it's like you want a car that's like an example would be you want to buy a car that's built by intense engineers and not by somebody who's just good with tools and doesn't truly understand cars. So if you're buying a booking system of software from, you're kind of Mod Podging a few things together to like, look, this is how our process works, rather than just going with someone who really understands your industry from beginning to end. I think you're going to come up short and be frustrated. I would really encourage you to, make sure that they're going to meet all of your basic needs along the way, but they have the understanding of that why I was talking about before, of how to get you to really running your business with ease, where it's like, hey, this is amazing how much this does for me. And my time is freed up and I can focus on actually running my business and not just fighting with the software all day.
So, shifting a little bit to the sales process here, like every sales process kind of does a demo of the software, right? And that process is usually pretty buttoned up. It can really mask any issues that the software has, or it just might not reveal things because it's hard to think of every scenario that a company might have. So, what do you think a demo doesn't do well at revealing that ends up mattering maybe 6 months after implementation?
That's good. Even in my recent move and focus to more sales here with Resmark, I've seen that. We're like, okay, I can put together a really nice demo. And it'll be very polished, and I know what's coming next. Um, but the way to discover things is to ask some hard questions. Ask things like, well, what about my old data? How long do you store this data? How can I access it? Who can access it? Um, what about, future enhancements? How do I know about what's coming next? What else is on your roadmap? You can see everything really cute in a demo, and it's, we're going to tailor it to your needs. Any good salesman would. But I just ask some really hard questions of maybe things you are taking care of in different parts of like other software. Like I have a client that they use like 3 different things to kind of run their business. They've got a CRM here, they've got a booking, they've got waivers over here, they've got somebody else using some a reporting software, and they've like kind of like Frankenstein together how they run their business, and that's great for them. But if you're in a demo and you're looking at like, okay, ask yourself, what bigger business processes in my operation could I eliminate or make super easy by just using something that's already connected and already inside of a system? And maybe you don't use all those things. But when you're in a demo, ask hard questions. Push the sales guy. I know I shouldn't say that would make my life hard, but it's good to maybe try to ease your long-term life by being, I don't know, just pretty ask hard questions during the demo. Don't just say, okay, yeah, that looks great, because it will look great.
Do most people come into the demo with having done some homework and having those questions prepared, or those questions usually they're coming up with after seeing the demo? Would you recommend operators having a stack of questions to ask?
Oh, that's a good question. I've seen definitely people just show up and say, okay, show me what you got. I've also seen people who have taken the time to make a list of their core must-haves. Like, this has to be in here. And then there's like the nice to have list. And then the nice to have list would be, eliminating, transferring a bunch of stuff to like a CSV file and then having somebody else look at it and filtering. Like, what can your software do to smooth everything out? So, also, I would ask you to leave questions with whoever's giving the demo, and give them the opportunity to do a little homework if they don't know and get back to you, because there's always an answer, even if you ask a really hard question. And maybe the answer is no, we don't, we can't, it doesn't. But sometimes little bit of homework on the sales side, we're always learning as well. So if you have a little flexibility to like, okay, yeah, here's your homework, go figure it out, and then we'll talk again soon. That's another great way to see if the person who really understands the system can help you smooth out and maybe eliminate some process on your end and save you some time. So a little bit of graciousness could go a long way to helping you have an easier time.
So there's a few things that I've observed over my time kind of being a sales and marketing manager and also doing some of the sales that are really going to benefit you as a tour operator in really understanding the business and the booking software to know if it's going to work for you. One is the list that Devin mentioned. Like that list of must-haves is so helpful. If you have a must-have that we cannot do, it's just going to save everyone time if that pops up early and we're like, look, we don't do that. I'm sorry. If you want to keep looking, like we can look into some workarounds, whatever. But it helps us frame it a lot quicker instead of being, 3 or 4 calls in and something pops up and we're like, we can't do that. We just spent 3 weeks with you and we can't service you, right? The other thing is we really try to do this at Resmark when we onboard you. So this is after you've chosen us, is our goal is to get you to build your products in our system. Now, the main reason for this is so that you can learn the system. The biggest thing I've seen is clients that come in and have us build it tend to have more questions about the software and tend to not be quite as happy at the end because they don't understand how the software works and they're always having to rely on someone else. So be willing to do the work yourself because that's only going to make your processes that much better. The third thing I would say too is be open to changing the way your business operates. Sometimes I've seen businesses that operate a certain way because of the limitations or the structure of the software that they've used previously, but it's not always the most efficient way, or there might just be a different way that you can do it that's going to work really well also. So just some things I've observed that are really going to help make this process that much easier.
Awesome. Now let's kind of pivot a little bit. Devin, as businesses become more sophisticated, which capabilities move from nice to have versus absolutely essential?
It's a hard question, but there are a few things that stick out right away. One is provisioning. So that's the ability to assign specific roles to users. As you grow, now you don't want somebody to see those reports, or perhaps you want to, not let everybody who logs in to see, revenue in, that kind of stuff. You don't want everybody to be able to adjust what the waiver says because now you've grown and you've got some legal counsel that you only want them to touch that stuff. So I would ask questions about user control and provisioning. Another thing that grows is we at Resmark anyway, there's the ability to send emails to those who have signed up and have it automated. It's like, I think it's one of the more underrated or underutilized things is the ability to like set up a timing cadence of a week before, 5 days before, 3 days before, 1 day before their activity to have automated emails going out. Because you can really have people who show up unprepared to an adventure and they're in sandals, you're like, oh, we need closed-toed shoes, and you didn't read any of the emails. But if you have this nice cadence set up for each product, product-based reminder emails, that's something when you're small, it's like you don't really think about it too much. It's like, oh, we put that on our website. But that, as you grow, it's like, I've got all these different products now. And each product needs to have, I don't want my website to be just chock full of like so much wordage and, like people are there to like make the transaction and show up. You can do that later with automated emailing, cruise control is what we call that.
That's
Another
actually a
thing that,
big struggle, just to interject real
yeah,
quick, that's a big struggle I see when building websites is that need for, like, every detail needs to be on the website versus what details can be post-purchase, and I
yeah,
often see, like, this desire for way too much detail up front that isn't quite going to, like, affect the purchase itself. So making sure that
No
that
way.
funnel all the way through the purchase and post-purchase is in a way that's gonna funnel people into purchase and then back out to learn more about their specific trip, and not being too detailed on the website is really important as well. I know that's kind of a different subject, but something to think about while
no,
we're
but it actually kind of goes into like my next thought for the same thing, like what's a nice to have at the beginning that turns into total necessity. As you grow bigger, your competition's going to start looking at you as more of a threat, and they're going to do things to take away your web traffic. You know what I mean? And so it turns the larger you get, the more you have to be on the offense, and taking those web leads and so I would say something that's nice to have is a platform that can also do some marketing for you. Somebody who understands how to take the same amount of visitors to your website and have them buy more often and increase that conversion rate is what we say. So the conversion rate optimization is really important to SEO. So getting found is one thing, sure, and you'll want somebody who understands how to help you be found on your marketing side. But if you can find a platform where they can help you do your paid ads, your SEO, you're showing up more, they can help you build your website so that you are more organically found, and increase your conversion rate with the same amount of traffic, but you get more purchases. Like that's totally invaluable because now you've gone from oh, cool. They paid me. I sent them the confirmation, and they show up the day of to I have a steady stream of business and everything's working together. And it's like an A to Z complete package of like driving my revenue for me. Like every aspect find a software where every aspect's handled from, attracting a client all the way to getting a great review when they're finished. Like that's at the beginning, you'd be like, okay, I just need something simple. But in the long run, when you grow, you're going to want somebody who has the ability to have like a complete, see the whole spectrum of every aspect, every interaction of your business.
The other thing too that is digital waivers as well. So having it all integrated. So now we have the booking software, the marketing, digital waivers, because that's not something we had mentioned. That's also an essential.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the world is very litigious, as they say. And if, you've got to cover that base and, for sure, being involved with waiver sign for years is like, of course, I think it's amazing. And it really is. It's process millions of waivers every year. And having that integrated with your booking system and it applies directly to that product that was sold. So you can see, have these participants sign the waiver and you can see that all in one place in one simple way is like amazing. And then you have somebody sign later, and then it goes to that order. And now the order's, green checks all the way down. Like that is so easy. It's kind of amazing.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying today's episode. But before we continue, let's take a quick scenic route. Do you still have the mindset I need to rank #1 on Google? We've been saying this for a while now, that rankings aren't the only goal anymore. They're just one piece of the puzzle. I was reading an article recently in Search Engine Land called SEO's New Goal in 2026, Recognition, Not Rankings. And it perfectly put into words what we've been talking about. The article explains that AI tools like Google's AI overviews, ChatGPT, and Perplexity aren't simply looking at who's ranked #1. They're looking for brands that are recognized and trusted across the web through reviews, real reviews, articles, podcasts, social media, Google business profiles, and other trusted sources. So yes, you still want to rank well, but if your entire SEO strategy is how do I get to page 1, you're asking the wrong question. And if that's all your SEO team cares about, fire them. The better question is, how do I become the tour company that both people and AI recognize as an authority? That's where SEO is headed. And honestly, it's going to be the best long-term strategy anyways.
All right, and back to the conversation.
Before we move on to planning for growth, which is our next kind of topic here, you said something, Devin, that I've seen happen over and over again, which is a successful business starting to kind of lose traction compared to the competitors, or competitors really starting to outpace this other company. It's happened over and over where you're ranked number one in a bunch of things in Google, and then your competitor comes in and just starts doing things better than you or differently than you, or maybe you slacked off a little bit on your SEO and now people start passing you. So I want to emphasize how important it is to not just use SEO or click rate optimization or any marketing tool as like a end gap or a stopgap where you're going to use it until you rank where you want, or you're going to use it until you get to a certain volume. But know that once you're there at the top, it's just as important to continue your SEO, continue the hard work that got you there, or you're just as easily going to start to fall down and be surpassed by your competitors, because it's 2026. Everyone's trying to get ranked. Everyone's working to show up in AI overviews and do all these things. And if you're not continually doing it, you're just going to fall back as well.
Right. And imagine trying to do all of that and run your business at the same time. Like find a team that gets it and will do it for you, because the cost of knowledge to have employees to take care of all these different aspects, if you can, have somebody else take care of a bunch of stuff for you, you're getting, it's like, if you did the math, it'd probably be like $5 or $10 an hour to have like all this, expertise always helping you stay up in front or to gain. I think, I think that the future is not, like AI isn't going to, like, there's so many great things it can do, but like, it's not going to replace the human element of noticing, of thinking outside the box, of continuous improvement for what you have. It can answer questions, but you need someone with expertise to like take that off your plate.
You can't do all of these pieces yourself. We don't do it all ourselves, which is why we have departments to do each one of these pieces.
Right.
And so when you're able to centralize it, and I'm not preaching Resmark, because there are some other great companies that might fit you better that do these things as well. So these are just things to consider.
So we've talked about various marketing aspects, various things that your business might be doing, like websites, using a CRM, email marketing, accounting, waivers, OTAs. There's a lot more that can be integrated with your booking software or work side to side with your software. So Devin, how should operators think about these integrations? Is it better to find a software that has them all integrated, find a software where none of them are integrated and do separate integrations? Have you seen kind of a trend, or what do you think is important here?
I think there's a couple aspects to this pretty big question. I used to help make create dev teams for specific projects, like third-party development. And when people would want to start fresh, they wanted to like, I'm going to make this software with your dev team, to run this business because I'm going to do it differently, and I don't like what else is on the market and that kind of thing. We would tell them, hey, if you can get 80% of what you want from an existing product, go with it, because you're going to spend a lot of time and headache over this last 20% when it's going to end up being maybe some nice to have stuff, but focusing on your core and what you really need is going to save you so much time and money. And I mean, there are definitely times to integrate with, through API or, downloading, information out of one system to another. But if I've seen it, both ways. I mean, if you're smaller, you're like going to take like the free tools and just put stuff into like Excel or, Google Sheets and stuff. And, but if you're, that gets burdensome. And if you're wasting time, like if you're working and you feel like I'm just wasting time doing this, I would look for a system where that is included and part of it. Yeah, if you're spending less than 20% of your time, fighting these other battles, okay, then I would stay with like the core thing. But if it starts bleeding over to like I'm running all these little integrations and they're not talking to each other, and I don't know who on the team is doing this, and this person's out today, and now like I can't find this information, and it's bleeding into over 20% of your time on the little things, I would look for a system. I would try to find something where it's included. So it's like all in one place, and you don't have to, just keep so many plates spinning, as they say.
All right, Devin, we get this question a lot, so I'm going to ask it. If somebody is planning to migrate off the system that they've outgrown, and that could be any booking software, Peak for Harbor, what can they do before switching to make the process smoother and set themselves up for success?
First of all, decide how much of your historical data you want to bring with you to the future. If you need everything, okay. But if you could say, I only need like the last 2 years or something like that, it might be a little easier to integrate with. Working with, ask the format of where you're going to move the data, like asking for the format it needs to be in or could be in beforehand might be very helpful. Another thing is with Resmark, and we would have a developer run like a script to have two systems talk to each other and just pull over the data that's required. We could also do that, but yeah, just deciding how much historical you want to bring with you, and then also like if there's anything you're doing that isn't actually like really benefiting, like you're taking certain amounts of information and you're not really doing anything with that or aspects of your business. You're like, we asked this or we get this and we don't even really do anything with it. Like, don't require it of where you're going. Like, it's okay to like, it's like in summer and you got a bunch of sweatshirts on. You're like, okay, let's take some of this stuff off and like, let's unburden ourselves with, processes that exist out of tradition rather than like, what do we actually need to move on and make our lives simpler? It's okay to simplify. And let's see, what else would be good? I think just having an open mind about, like Greg, like you said earlier, like maybe there's a business process that could just be eliminated or smoothed out, and be willing and flexible enough to like change how you do stuff. I think most tour operators though are going to be pretty flexible people in general. Like they're normally relaxed, go with the flow. They just want everyone to have a good time and have and see great results. And so yeah, just maybe sometimes like take a step back, say what are the most important things, and focus on the simplicity that could be in your future.
So we've talked about quite a bit of different things here today. To wrap it up, Devin, what's one piece of advice you'd give a tour operator when making a booking software decision that they'll be happy with 5 years from now?
I would find a company that you feel at peace with, and the way I would choose is that, are they like reactive? Do they actually care about me? Am I just a number? Does their support staff get back to me quickly? Do they treat me with respect? And that's like the feel good side. But at the same time, that kind of like culture bleeds into the software performing and actually enhancing things that you'll care about in the future. If you're working with, a team and you can actually give feedback of like, hey, that was a great season. I wrapped up my season, and now, I have 4 months off before we really start going again. And you can give feedback and they're listening to you. That's amazing. When I'm, here in product and I talk to a client and I can actually deliver, a couple months later what they really needed, like a big feature or a report that didn't exist before, when we understand the why and we get through the how and then we deliver it and we see the excitement on their face. Like, you want to work with a software company that actually listens to you and treats you the way you'd want to be treated. Nobody wants to be just a number in a queue. And that's a great idea. Let me just put that in my circular file over here. I would find a company that's, that gets you and is responsive and has a human element to it. That kind of, I also feel like, people might start really cherishing, oh, it's an actual person typing to me, or I'm actually on a phone call and not just, some kind of dictionary answer out of the nether. So.
Thanks, Devin. I think the biggest takeaway from today is that booking software is not just another tool. It's the operational foundation that your business is built on. Don't choose a platform for the longest feature list or the flashiest demo. Choose the one that fits how your business actually operates, supports where you're headed, and helps your team deliver a better guest experience every step of the way. We love Resmark, of course, but we know that Resmark isn't for everybody too. So evaluate any system on the job it has to do for your tour company. For serious operators, taking the time to evaluate strategically is one of the best long-term investments that you can make. That's it for today's episode of the Tour Operator Growth Podcast. If you got value out of today, follow the show wherever you listen and leave us a quick review. It's the best way to help other operators find it. And if you want help putting any of this to work in your own tour business, book a call with the team at resmarksystems.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.